Hey Eric,
Hey, how are you?
I'm absolutely fine. How are you doing, Eric?
Good, good. So, Manish, where are you from? What's your role here? Are you one of the presenters?
Yeah, I'm the host for this um, roundtable for the
Excellent.
security and challenges, and we'll kick off. Let's wait for 1 minute more
Yeah, no
to let
worries.
the audience join. And where are you joining from, Eric?
Toronto, Canada.
Oh wow, oh,
Yeah,
nice, brilliant.
yeah, a bunch of stuff
Excellent.
on the Agentic ecosystem front going on here.
Oh,
I've even
nice. Yeah, yeah, a lot.
I've even written a few articles on this. So,
Yeah,
interesting, very interesting.
it-
Practitioner.
yeah, yeah. It is interesting area to be honest, and yeah, it's nice. Yeah, we'll hear what all things that we all know. Yeah.
I'm just gonna see if I can get you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Uh, Hope you'll accept my invitation if I can find you.
Cool. I think we can start our conversation, and happy to hear your what articles you have been reading. Let's start with what actually about the agentic workflow that uh, you are experienced with or you are reading.
Yeah, sure. So I have a very small boutique consulting company. We do stuff in this area, but we really build ecosystems. Is what our company does,
Mhm.
and we built in the past ecosystems with services. We call them service mesh. We built with data products. We call them data mesh. I've actually written an O'Reilly book called Implementing Data Mesh, and
Yeah.
now we are focused on agents, so the agentic mesh, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and what we're trying to do is our belief is that in order to move beyond the proof of concept or science experiment stage,
Yeah. Yeah.
so-called autonomous agents need to be first off autonomous, but they
Yeah.
need to be enterprise grade.
Yeah.
So we have a particular perspective on how to do that.
Hmm.
Security being one aspect of it, discoverability, observability, operability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, Second order considerations around a trust framework
Yeah.
and stuff like that. There's infrastructure, mutual TLS,
Yeah.
all that kind of
Yeah.
gobbledygook too. Um, so we're trying. Well, we actually have a toolkit that we're running,
Hmm. Hmm.
and we actually have a mesh framework that allows
Oh,
these
okay.
agents to actually um, they can task plan, they can execute, they can call other agents, other tools, and you get this whole
Yeah.
ecosystem stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, the key for us is if they're not enterprise grade, nobody's going to let them actually do what
Oh,
they do
indeed.
in enterprise.
Indeed.
So that's where
Yeah.
my interest lies, and that's kind of where my head's at and what I've been doing.
Oh, that's really good about what you mentioned about Agent Mash because I've been also, I'm working and as well as reading all those stuff. And if you talk about the challenges, as you said, that unless it's at so there are two parts. Unless it is at enterprise level, or B, its value is being realized in production as its core value proposition. It's always really hard, right? And I think as you said about agent calling agent, so yes, multi-agent orchestration. So there are different types of agentic architecture. More or less, I believe usually now I think enterprise are going with the React agent architecture, right? But but there is like multi-agent architectures as well, like Meta GPT and all that we have to. But
Yeah.
knowing all this space, um, the biggest security challenge or the biggest security point that comes to can come to any product owner, or it can come to even the architect or even the engineers who are working and building, is how to trust the agent, right? And how to know that the response that agents are giving, because at the back end it will be a large language model, right? It will be an LLM. So how to basically validate? I can give you a scenario, and that then we can delve more. So let's say there is a conversational bot, right, for one of your products, and I being a consumer, let's oh wow, people are joining. We'll give a hi to them. Hello everyone. Hi Sabri. Offer, and Paul, if I am right at pronouncing your guys' name. And apologies if I am not. So, so it is welcome to all in this Agentic or this roundtable. And this roundtable is basically about security and challenges of the agent ecosystem, especially when the agents move into production. And just before you guys joined, I was having a conversation with Eric. Eric is leading, kind of. So they have their own in-house agentic mesh system. They have built multi-agents. They have this ecosystem established in terms of agents calling agents. So that's where we started our conversation, and glad you all guys joined. So there is a one question that I am always intrigued, and I really want to know each one of your views and your experiences onto that. So it's a twofold question, let's say. So one is, how about the user authentication for the agent, right? Because you don't want to deal with that in terms of exposing the user identity. And because there will be a lot of egress communication whenever such system, irrespective whether this agentic ecosystem, mesh, workflow, whatever we want to call it, reside, be it in any cloud or at on-prem as well. And a part two of the same question is which I was asking to Eric. We were having conversation is, how have you guys seen about the how you would be validating the agent response, because at the back end it's large language models, right? Now I was giving a scenario which I have experienced. Let's say if I'm an agent and I'm talking to a conversational bot, I said hi, it gives me how can I help you. Let's say it's a product catalog bot. Then again I say hello, then it will say, I'm sorry, I'm a product catalog, please ask the question related to product catalog. Now, if I ask him, how can I help you? That's where the things can be a bit tricky. The conversation bot can give the response of the rational output of the LLM as well, right? That's the agentic output that comes. So these are the two things. Let's kick a start with this, your views and expertise on these topics. If you ever faced or you are, reading
Yeah,
about it.
I can start.
Yeah.
Um, so this is our approach. It may not be the right approach,
Yeah. Yeah.
but so we're targeting inside the enterprise, not a public domain.
Yeah.
So logging in has a twofold thing. One is, how do I log into the identity book of record, and then how
Yeah.
do I ensure through techniques like OAuth 2 that of
Yeah.
my role, and that I can actually verify that I'm in the right role to
Yeah.
contact or execute or interact with the agent. So we typically have a login
Yeah.
front end, and we maintain everything's tokens,
Yeah.
OAuth tokens, stuff like that. So we maintain that information from conversations, and that gets checked every time there's a request to the agent. So that's how we do it. I don't know how other folks are doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone would like to share their experience, their expertise? Cool. I think, but Eric, you said rightly so. I think for most of the organization, it would be OAuth 2, or it would be an internal kind of an Azure AD system or a SAML base that's already there. Now, but again, if you are using cloud, that's where it becomes a bit of tricky, because you need to then connect with the different kind of your data, as let's call data products, which are hosting your data, from where you want to take the data and build your knowledge base and all. Now let's move to the another aspect of the security. So there is a well known published principles of OWASP top 10. I don't know whether um, anyone has heard of it. I'm just sharing a one link of that. It's a Google Doc link. People can open it. So this basically talks about the LLM security principles, like but for the agentic, which I believe the prominent are LLM O1 and LLM O6 here. But let's talk about the prompt fine tuning for the agents, right? Because it's the agent. And broadly, as of now, we can categorize primarily the agent ecosystem into two. One is the agent based on action group sent by the user, and another one is the function calling. Correct. So for both, how do you guys see what all the challenges in production? What kind of prompt jailbreak, prompt injection you guys think, or how should we address to the prompt refine techniques? Either of these things, I really want to know your views and each one of us. Yeah. So anyone, I can see Pooja joining. Hi Pooja, you just joined, thank you so much. And yeah,
Maybe I can share a little bit.
please, please. Yeah.
So um, I'm volunteering as part of the NIST, National Institute of Standard and
Yes.
Technology,
Yes.
ASIC working group, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the AI Safety Institute Consortium.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The US, basically, this is the US attempt to, or the government attempt to define guidelines for AI in general, or
Yeah.
safety in AI. And 2 days ago, I attended a plenary meeting in DC, and we discussed exactly agent security and aspects associated with it. So I have my notes here. I can read some of the items that we discussed there. There are different aspects associated with knowledge transfer. So
Yeah.
how do you protect now that the agent can take actions,
Hmm.
that they can communicate between themselves? How do you protect your organization data?
Yeah, yeah.
Aspect you mentioned earlier, how do you protect, how do you make sure that the agent doesn't go wrong, like doesn't
Yeah,
do
yeah.
bad things? Um, Basically, agents have access to your project. This is part of the thing. They have access to your systems. How do you make sure that they don't take bad actions?
Yeah.
Um, um, we discussed a potential sandbox environment for evaluation, which is
Mm.
pretty hard to do with agents,
Yeah.
much harder than in any other environment that is more deterministic. Um, we I'm not sure if this is exactly related, but we also discussed liability and accountability. So now
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
who takes the liability? The agent developer, the user, the LLM behind the agent. I don't know. There are several different potential organization or bodies to take the liability.
Yeah.
Um, um, what else?
Yeah. No, no, you are right, Offer. It's about the accountability is really important, because when we talk about accountability, LLM evaluation, which you just touched upon, it comes as a really another kind of a paradigm to explore for agentic ecosystem. Now for the LLM evaluation, I know already there are multiple ways we can do it, like LLM as a judge. We have some libraries and all. But again, for agentic ecosystem, let's say into the production, the LLM evaluate or the agentic evaluation is goes a step beyond all these acronyms, right? It goes towards the how, like when agent is calling in another agent, how that evaluation will be there, right? Who would be responsible for? So no, you are absolutely right. And so let's move to the evaluation part, because that's really very important part for production. um it would be really great if anyone of us know of or have built or experience about the LLM evaluation thing. Two key challenge which I see. based on my experience so far or my work that I'm doing as a part of a learning curve, is for production, there is always, because it let's go back to this one step back to the nascent machine learning, right? These all are the child of those machine learning kind of a thing which we started learning right back, or which we all are aware of. So that and we all had the journey from notebook to production, right? So I guess same goes here as well. We experiment and then we want to move to production. So the challenges from the evaluation point of view is two. One is nowadays a lot of effort is being put on developing an in-house software development kit. So how does the version control happens? Because if anything goes, if the version dependency control is not being captured appropriately, let's say for LangGraph, Llama Index, just to name a few, for example, then yes, of course, the LLM response would be a bit different. And then what all the metrics of the evaluation one can think of, both from the, let's say, React-based agents, where agents is just calling the action groups or the tools, or let's say multi-agent orchestration. So let's try to use your insights onto this. How if you guys want to share on it, yeah, because
Well, do you mind if I
yeah,
ask?
yeah, please.
Perhaps it's a very dumb question, but um, we've been working with things like Crew AI,
Yeah,
Lansing. We've looked at Agentic 1, the AutoGen
yeah.
child. We looked at the OpenAI Swarm, stuff like that. And from a security perspective, the fundamental challenge we have, which is an obstacle, I work in financial services, a little bit in healthcare, very regulated industries, but trying to get
Yeah,
anything into production using these frameworks is extremely difficult
yeah,
because, first off, they're all in one file,
hmm
one Python file or notebook, whatever you want.
yeah. True,
It's a shared memory model.
yeah,
And you can't layer on OAuth 2 or other type capability easily. I mean, you can, but then you have to wrap it in microservice and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So the way we would address that, this is my question, is I think there needs to be a different architecture is where my head's at, and I welcome your feedback. But what we do is we put everything into
yeah,
microservices,
yeah,
and because it's in a microservice, you have almost 15 years of experience around how to secure them. So
yeah,
so there's no new ways to secure these things. So what ends up happening is these microservices are agents. They have endpoints, so they can interact and send tasks. They're smart. They have a LLM, typically an orchestration LLM to do task
mm,
planning, and then maybe a specialist LLM, which may be the same one. And because they're in a microservice, we containerize access to data very carefully, whether it's
yeah,
local data, but it's very local, SQLite or something like that. More likely than not, they have access to corporate repositories using standard APIs, which are secure
hmm
by
hmm
definition.
yeah,
So we found with this architecture, it's actually very easy to secure these things. It's very easy to build enterprise-grade agents, but we have
yeah.
not found it similar with the current suite of tools. So here's the question: am I wrong? Have you guys figured out how to actually secure these things? Because we have not figured out an easy way to do it other than to wrap all these things around. So we came up with our own toolkit, which we can do actually
Yeah.
very easily now. But am I approaching this wrong is the question for this week.
Um, yeah, Offer, you want to
Yeah, I
go?
think that there are many additional level of complexities when you talk about agents. The traditional microservices are deterministic, and every potential breaches that come from just LLMs is amplified in many levels when it comes to agents. They can take action, they can connect to different data sources, that they can, I don't know, connect to APIs that you don't even expect them to.
No, but here's by putting every agent's a separate microservice in our world. Every agent is protected through access to an identity book of records, so they're registered there, and they have a role. So every microservice, every agent actually has OAuth 2 authentication and authorization. So you actually can't access the agent or the microservice unless you're using very standard communication protocols, security protocols. So every agent, every microservice talks mutual TLS. So you have the network.
Yeah.
Every agent has an endpoint secured through OAuth 2, and every agent has to have an identity so that we can actually verify their OAuth 2 credentials and their role. So what we found is every agent, we haven't, I can talk about the deterministic aspect, but the production level security is something that we think we've figured out. But we're rather unique in our approach, and that's why I'm concerned. I don't mind being first, but if I'm first, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. It's my idea.
No, if I can jump in, I think see, microservices architecture for this agentic ecosystem. Yes, it's one of the best, one of the go-to architecture in
Thank
terms of
you.
the standard. We can indeed, because if you want to go a level down, then basically when we talk of the microservices, a lot of it shares the synonym with the SaaS based or multi-tenancy based kind of architecture as well, right? Wherein just like you said about building in agents as a separate microservices, whereas in the multi-tenancy SaaS-based product platform, we give the role-based permission access to tenants, which gets onboarded, and then they can build their kind of agents. But I just an impromptu random thought came into my mind, Eric, when you said about the microservices and all. So have you guys also thought of putting a router, like an LLM router? It can be graph based, it can be anything, because there can be although you have used crew.ai, but there can be multiple LLMs that you want to use based on the
Well,
task specific flow.
yeah. So we're way well beyond them. So what we have is a custom request. I'll just do a simple example. Bank account in the
Yeah,
financial service. It's the most intuitively obvious thing, but super complex behind it.
yeah,
So the request comes in and says, "Hey, I'm Manish, your offer, and I want to open a bank account, and I have $100." Natural language, exactly that. So the first thing we do is we go to an agent proxy, and
yeah,
it's powered by an LLM. And the first thing it does is it looks at our registry of all the agents. Every agent at Bootstrap registers. And it looks at the registry and says, which agent can actually address this request. Then it forwards the request to that agent. And that agent then says, okay, I need to go and do this step. But we give it hints. It's not a process. It's simple English language. These are the things you should think about. And that agent then will say, okay, I need to go and first thing do an identity verification. And then, so that goes to an agent that does that. Ultimately, it hits a code. Then it goes after the identity verification, says, I got to do a know your customer, KYC. Then it says, I need to do an initial deposit. And then it finally says, I'm done. I'm going to notify the customer. That's 5 or 6, maybe 7 agents and 3 or 4 tools that all get orchestrated dynamically.
yeah,
So every agent has purpose, so you can find it, but it has an approach that explains how it should actually do its work. And that we found is it gives us, we don't have to choreograph anything. There's no like through AI where you have to do A, B, C, D. What line chain you have to come up. So the same idea, a little bit more
yeah.
complex. We don't have to do that. We actually let the agents figure what the agents want to do within reason. So we have, there's some guardrails that we put.
Yeah.
But that's
Um,
it's moving. And it
yeah.
seems to work.
Yeah, I mean, if it's working, it means it was built in the right way. But again, there is a one more. I'm curious to know, because you said two things, right? Broadly, which I took is it's a microservices architecture. Let's say you have different microservices, right? And then you have another agent proxy, which is bootstrapping. So it's kind of an agent's metadata into that proxy. Let's, in a layman term, right?
Yep.
How about the latency issues that you have encountered? Because
Well,
even if it's MTLS, we are talking about millisecond, but if it's a kind of a chain of zigzag motion, then yes, it adds up,
yeah.
isn't it?
So fundamentally, every agent, every step that an agent does is an LLM call. So what
Yeah.
we found is the LLM call is about 1,000 times higher latency than a network call. So we don't actually care about the network call. It's milliseconds, whereas an LLM, if we go to, for example, OpenAI, it goes to the network, goes to the cloud, does whatever stuff, and 2 seconds later, at least in Canada, that's my response time. 2 seconds later, it comes back with an answer. The network latency is 0.001% of the request, end-to-end request. So it really doesn't matter. The key for us is we can. Fundamental key is how do you put guardrails around the actual task planning, ensuring that it actually gets to the right agent. So what we've done is our hint, we call it an approach, says do step 1 through 5. And we have a very rigorous approach on how you define that. And that approach then becomes part of the prompt, which then becomes part of the execution plan for the actual agent doing the work. So we actually, an agent developer doesn't code anything. They just write effectively prompts. And the agents actually do it all themselves securely.
Correct. I do agree. I was also having one more, kind of a.
By the way, I want to dominate the conversation, so just tell me to stop.
No, it's fine, and I really appreciate anyone. Please feel free to jump in. We have expertise offer. You have said about you are working with NIST, so that's really because I've read that kind of your documentation which got published, right? So we were working inside.
I think we are starting to think about agents only now. It's not something.
Correct. So that's really, that I completely agree with you. That's the need of the hour that we need to do, right? How about the other participants, Pooja, Hong, and Michael just joined. So any one of you, if you have any views on this to share.
Yeah, thank you for organizing the workshop. Very interesting. I'm telling to myself, sorry about it. We are building a new kind of agent framework for business. All right, here. So my question is that when we work with the business for some domain like finance or accounting, we need sometimes a very precise action. Sometimes it's not allow or some domain chatbot, whatever you can have a relation. Sometimes you got wrong answer, but not problem. But in some finance domain, you have sometimes very precise action. So LLM sometimes cannot provide exactly action. I know, but I don't understand. Of course, because based on your probabilities, sometimes you can change the part in your trace. You can leave another answer with the same question. So sometimes you ask the same question 3 times, and sometimes you can not the same answer. So how can you deal with this kind of regression?
I think we started with this point only. This conversation about every time asking the same question, LLM tends to give the different response, right? Because agents just directs that to one of the tools or action group, what we want to call it. I think one of the way we can deal with it is, it's about how it's the prompt refinement, right? Let's say we can. So one kind of a system that I can, as of now, envision is let's have 2 blocks. Block A is your prompt engineering toolkit, prompt engineering kit, let's say. And so whenever a prompt comes, it has to pass through that prompt engineering kit. Now this prompt, and then it goes to the agentic architecture, which can be any, which can be your standalone, which can be microservices, which can be multi-tenant, whatever the way you want to. Now this prompt engineering kit, or whatever you want to call it, it can be in a standalone kind of a simple Python functions, or if you can enhance it by putting an agent into it. That's how I envision. And what it will does is that you feed all the prompt refinement techniques into it, so that it gets refined along with the system prompts. And another way that I think, which you said, is that's the very fundamental of any of the generative AI use case production system, is human in the loop, right? How we can bring more human in the loop based on the response, because you are seeing that. So we have 2 components, LLM as a judge. Let's put that as a judge for the outcoming output, and then again have a more refinement. But there is always a very precarious line about, we cannot think of, it's my opinion, we cannot think of moving it to production because we are talking about too many hoops, which means latency, which means too many, and if you want to give the load testing, it's a bit of challenge. So yeah, I think we are just over time. So sorry, I couldn't hear more of your valuable insights and experience. And this session is recorded, so I hope anyone can go and listen to it. So let's go to our session. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manish, for leading this.
Thank you.